The Long Road to True Happiness by WierdRandomTina. Chapter 49. A Grand Celebration. This is the last chapter, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this. The warm summer sun was high in the sky, illuminating the already colourful forest. But what shone even brighter was the centre of Troll Village. There were beautiful decorations as far as the eye could see, sparkling white and vibrant light greens, garland and wreath and balloons and bouquets, meticulously laid out, in preparation for the major celebration everyone had been looking forward to. The royal wedding. Branch straightened his light green bow tie for the 4th time. He was standing out of view behind a wide birch tree, a hair stretch beyond the walkway that would lead through the crowd and up to the large mushroom stage. There, Peppy and Queen Poppy would be waiting for him.
Poppy, my fiancée, who is about to become my wife.
Out of the corner of his eye, Branch noticed a stray piece of black fuzz on the shoulder of his all-white tux, carefully picked it off, and then double-checked the rest of his appearance. Spick and span. He reached up to touch the soft fuzz of his familiar crown, resting perfectly above his brow, as always.
This will be the last time I wear it. Today, I'll receive a new one, my official crown. In a few minutes, I will go from royal in training to king of Troll Village.
The entire area was relatively quiet, considering it was packed with every citizen in the village. No music was playing, but there was a constant light chatter as hundreds of trolls waited excitedly for the ceremony to begin. And then Branch heard it, the traditional royal melody, a soothing yet strong instrumental, aka the signal. His heart thudded. Within 2 seconds, every voice hushed. Branch took a deep breath. The time had come. He was about to get married, and he was about to become a royal. With his head held high in a dignified manner, he stepped around the birch tree and made his way toward the start of the walkway. Up ahead, the carpet path split the massive crowd in half. All eyes were on him. Some trolls were struggling to stand still. Some were smiling proudly. Some were on the verge of tears. Many were doing a combination of all three. As Branch walked smoothly through the crowd, his gaze travelled from one side of the path to the other, as he acknowledged everyone with small, humble smiles. He passed many familiar faces. Chipper tour guide Tug de Luluth, skateboarder Aspen Hines, Baker's Claus and Mandy, laid-back Baha from the woodcarving class, blue hairstylist Maddie, River Ann and her parents from the Smiling Taste Buds restaurant, colourful teenage artist Harper, Larry, Joe, Dusty and a dozen other fellow builders, fashionably late actor Dennis, waitress Cookie, the Fun Factory solemn owner Sky Toronto. Then came a colourful cluster of cheerful kids. Sweet Carrie, Orange Gemma, who was being unusually well behaved, Biggie's purple nephew Tommy, Suki's niece CJ, mature Priscilla, Violet, Sunny, who was holding his precious plushy Turtley, and little Keith. Branch stifled a giggle as the cute blue-haired lime green trolling started to run toward him, but was quickly stopped by his mother. Next was Sarah with her fully healed ankle, Farmer Rufus, Karma in a fancy camo dress, sparkly Gia Grooves and Archer pastry, dark pink Moxie, experienced Dr. Moonbloom and younger Dr. Plimsy, Bella brightly with her colourful hair accessories, Senior Mags with her giant red hair, Suki's elderly Grandpa Pine, board gamer Charlotte, quiet florist Meadow Spriggs, sports enthusiast Ripley Wisp. Whether they were his friends, co-workers, acquaintances, or even trolls he had barely spoken to, all of them were thrilled for Branch to become their king. Not a single face held any uncertainty or disapproval. No one was nonchalant. Even expressionless Keith was smiling. For so long, Branch worried the village would forever think of him as the troll who was a miserable grey outcast for 2 decades. But that wasn't the case. They all knew of his less than colourful past, but that's not what they saw when they looked at him now. He was the brave troll who protected them from the Great Flood, the dedicated troll who rebuilt the village, the knowledgeable troll who will always keep them safe, the compassionate troll who will make a wonderful spouse for their beloved queen. If he asked any of them to move a twig for him, they'd move a whole forest. And, of course, there were his group of his closest friends, being their usual overdramatically supportive selves. Biggie was a complete mess, as he had predicted, bawling more than the rest of the gang combined. Guy Diamond offered Branch a double thumbs up with a smile that was so wide that it looked like his jaw might break. Satin pointed out with a sly grin, "Looking sharp as always, Branch," while Chenille added, "As always, you're welcome." DJ Suki had both hands over her heart as she swayed gently to the royal instrumental still playing. Cooper shouted out, "Yeah, go Branch!" Smidge looked ready to explode with happiness, dancing on the spot like a maniac who consumed 10 energy drinks. Her much calmer boyfriend Milton gave Branch a slow, respectful nod. Lexi was trembling and covering her mouth with both hands, likely to stop herself from letting out an ear-splitting scream of joy. Fosbert was bouncing up and down, his green hair tuft forming into a perfect heart. Nearing the stairs, Branch finally let his eyes wander up to the stage. The sight of his pink fiancée literally took his breath away. He could see her clearly now, and saying she looked absolutely gorgeous was an understatement. A white ball gown dress, bell-shaped and elegantly layered, dotted with tiny light green flowers, and dainty off-the-shoulder lace straps. Her usual flowery crown and formal teal cape. Her magenta ponytail, styled with fancy waves to appear even fluffier, also decorated with little flowers and tied with a soft white bow. The special gold necklace with the colour-changing rose charm. Cute white flowered bracelets, one on each wrist. Her brilliant smile, gazing down at him with an unbelievable amount of adoration. Remaining calm and controlled, despite the sudden burst of emotions, Branch successfully made his way up the staircase. He took his place on the stage, standing face to face with Poppy, several paces away, with Peppy in between and behind them. Both Poppy and her father had tears in their eyes already, and Branch knew he'd follow suit very soon. When the music trailed off, Peppy placed one hand on Poppy's shoulder and one on Branch's. The smiling orange elder's voice was strong and clear.
"Citizens of Troll Village, we are gathered here today for one of Trollkind's most significant traditions, a double ceremony. To join 2 hearts in marriage, and to add a new member to our royal family. Every couple has a unique and amazing story, but the journey of these 2 remarkable trolls is truly one of a kind. Poppy and Branch have seen the very worst of each other, while bringing out the best in each other. They are a shining example of how opposites attract, how different personalities don't clash, but rather balance each other out. It has been a pleasure to witness how they have grown as individuals and become the inspiring couple standing before us. We are all very proud, but no one is as proud as me."
Branch blinked several times. Yep, he could feel the moisture forming already. Oh well, he wasn't the worst troll out there. Biggie had already gone through half a box of tissues. Plus, Smidge, Suki and Guy were sobbing uncontrollably now too. Peppy sniffled discreetly as he reached into his hair to remove Troll Village's oldest time book of traditions. Within it was both of the wedding vows and the royal vows. Turning to the appropriate page, the retired king took a step back, cleared his throat, and began.
"Queen Poppy, please step forward."
The pretty pink troll, her trembling knees hidden by her poofy dress, stepped toward her fiancé, gently taking his left hand to hold it snugly with both of hers. With the couple's glistening eyes locked, Peppy recited,
"Do you, Queen Poppy, take Branch to be your trollfully wedded husband, to have and hug from this day forward, in sunshine and in storms, to accept his strengths and faults, to give him happiness, to love, cherish and support him with all your heart and soul?"
Poppy's voice quavered. "I do." Peppy then reached up to pull a small item out of his tousled hair. A thin gold bracelet with 2 little gemstones, one sunset pink and one magenta, aka the first wedding band. Before handing it to his daughter, he asked,
"Queen Poppy, is there anything you would like to add to your vows?"
Poppy let out an emotional chuckle, then sniffled and stammered, "Oh gosh, I can't even find the words right now. I have so much to add. I'd have to make a 10-hour speech, but..." Still gazing at him, she gave his hand a firm squeeze. "I feel like the luckiest creature in this entire world. You and I have already made so many incredible memories together, and I know we'll make so many more. I can't wait to see what our future holds, Branch. And even if we face more hardships, I know we'll get through them. Together." A single tear rolled down Poppy's pink freckled cheek as she gingerly took the gold bracelet from her father. With another heartfelt chuckle, she slid the wedding band onto Branch's left wrist to join his dark green hug time watch. He watched with a soft adoration, his blue eyes glowing as if a part of him couldn't believe this was truly happening. After giving Branch a second to admire his new life-changing accessory, Peppy spoke up again.
"Branch, please step forward."
The turquoise troll in his handsome white tux stepped toward his fiancée. Once her dainty left hand was resting in both of his, Peppy asked Branch the question,
"Do you, Branch, take Queen Peppy to be your trollfully wedded wife, to have and to hug from this day forward, in sunshine and in storms, to accept her strengths and faults, to give her happiness, to love, cherish and support her with all your heart and soul?"
Branch's voice was as soft as silk.
"I do."
With the second gold wedding band, one turquoise and one dark blue gemstone, ready in Peppy's hand, the noble elder required,
"Branch, is there anything you'd like to add to your vows?"
Branch's expression was filled with so much love that Poppy had to hold her breath to stop from bawling like her friends in the audience. Despite looking like he was about to cry too, Branch's voice remained level.
"Poppy, no words or actions could ever express the depth of my love for you. You literally made my life worth living, rescued me from a lifetime of darkness, allowed me to become someone I'm proud to be."
He had to pause to clear his throat as one tear finally escaped.
"I will be forever grateful for every second I'm with you, and I promise to prove that to you every day for the rest of my life."
Poppy couldn't stop a sputtering sob from slipping out, and had to quickly rub her eyes with her free hand to regain her composure, while Branch retrieved the bracelet from Peppy. Still, she sniffled twice, as Branch placed the smaller band on her slender wrist, just above her white flowered bracelet. With their heartfelt vows and bracelet exchange complete, Poppy's hands settled comfortably into Branch's, as their glistening eyes met once again. Peppy concluded, after shedding a few tears of his own,
"These two hearts now beat to the same lifelong tune, joyful and powerful. Branch, Queen Poppy, you are now officially husband and wife."
The newlyweds leaned forward at the same time, meeting in the middle with a firm kiss. Delighted cheers echoed through the area and puffs of white confetti filled the air. As the sparkly specks gently floated to the ground, Poppy and Branch unhurriedly ended their kiss. Then the crowd quieted down as Peppy stepped forward again.
Congratulations. And now it is time for the second part of the ceremony.
Branch's heart started pounding wildly, nearly squeezing the air out of his lungs. Poppy took a step back as her father placed a hand on Branch's shoulder. She was struggling to keep her hands and feet still. The noble elder and retired leader cleared his throat and addressed the crowd.
We have all witnessed how far this exceptional young man has come. He is a loyal friend, an inspiring role model, a master builder, a safety expert, a true hero, and so much more. Today, he will receive the highest honor a troll can be given, one he has earned a dozen times over. I can only imagine the amazing things he will accomplish in the years to come.
Branch had to hold his breath to stop from crying. It was too late for Poppy. Her eyes were streaming like a rainy day, and she had covered her mouth to stifle the whimpers. Peppy flipped a few pages in the book, then spoke the traditional coronation vows, very similar to what took place when Poppy became queen.
Branch, do you promise to take care of Troll Village, to maintain fun and happiness, to leave no troll behind, and treat every individual with equal kindness, to walk alongside Poppy as equal royal partners, to uphold our traditions and embrace our colourful culture, for as long as you shall live?
Branch's voice shook, but held no doubt.
I do.
Peppy gave him a respectful nod, closed the book, returned it into his hair, and then reached towards the small table behind him and received 2 items. Branch's official crown and cape. Facing forward again, the crown was in Peppy's left hand, and the cape was folded over his left forearm. His amber eyes met his daughter's, and he gave her a small nod. In turn, her fuchsia eyes met Branch's. After taking a deep breath to get her swarm of feelings under control, she gave him a matching nod. Taking his cue, Branch slowly knelt down and respectfully bowed his head. The entire forest held its breath as the Pink Queen's hands grasped the fuzzy green crown on his head. In a formal manner, Poppy slowly lifted it up and off his dark blue hair, setting it in her father's empty right hand. Her smile increased as she reached for the new crown waiting in his other hand, a sturdy headband made of woven together chocolate brown twigs, with bits of tiny rounded leaves here and there, plus 4 pointed leaves on top, 1 tall dark green, 1 short light on the front, and 2 medium green on either side. Poppy took a second to admire the handsome crown, letting the weight of the situation sink in. The wonderfulness of this moment almost overwhelmed her. But she kept her composure and moved forward to place the new crown onto Branch's head. She adjusted it slightly, making sure it was perfectly positioned, before taking a step back. Branch raised his head and got to his feet. His body language was completely relaxed, but Poppy could see the many strong emotions shimmering in his eyes. Lastly, Peppy handed his daughter the royal cape, long and flowing like Poppy's, except it was made of layered pale green leaves, similar to Branch's old vest. In one smooth motion, Poppy draped the cape over and around Branch's broad shoulders, then fastened the little acorn clip. After gingerly fixing one side that had partially bunched up, she moved back once again, giving her father room to stand beside Branch. With the fondest smile, Peppy finally made the official announcement.
I give you.
He took a hold of Branch's hand and lifted it up toward the sky.
Our new king!
Another massive round of applause filled the forest, accompanied by multiple bursts of rainbow confetti. There was no holding back this time. With both parts of the formal ritual complete, The village was free to be in full celebration mode. Along with all the zealous whoops and hollers, several distinct shouts could be heard throughout the crowd. "King Branch! Hooray for King Branch! Woohoo! King Branch! King Branch!" There was still a humble smile on Branch's face, and tears were still threatening to overflow. But his head was held high as he surveyed the village. His village. Hearing his altered name was still strange, and even borderline cringy, but it also warmed his heart in a way he'd never felt before. All the piles of lessons and meticulous, strenuous work over the last few months. Everything good and bad he'd been through over the last year. It all led up to this moment.
It's official now. Poppy and I are married. I am king of Troll Village.
It was such a major shift in his life, such a significant change of status. But Branch was no longer intimidated by that. It made him feel appreciated, loved, secure, at home. Like he was finally where he belonged. It didn't just feel good, it felt right. Branch was gently pulled away from his thoughts by the feel of a soft hand linking in his. He glanced over at the source, his beautiful pink wife. As they exchanged a loving smile, the crowd's chanting increased. "King Branch! Queen Poppy! Yay, Queen Poppy! Yay, King Branch! To the king and queen! Queen Poppy and Queen Branch!" Biggie shouted out, "King Branch! He's my friend! I know him!" After a minute, Branch released Poppy's hand and stepped forward. The cheers quieted down almost instantly, everyone eager to hear what their new king wanted to say. While Branch's tone remained modest and as smooth as always, his voice now held a new, quiet authority.
"Thank you, everyone. Your support truly means the world to me. Standing before you today, wearing this crown and cape, is the greatest honor, one I never would have dreamed of to be given. I have changed a lot over this last year, and worked hard to earn this title. However, troll culture is still relatively new to me, and the truth is, I still have room for improvement. Therefore, I am looking forward to being fully involved in the village's activities, so I can interact and learn from you all."
There was some clapping, then Branch continued.
"In addition, I would like each of you to know that if you are ever feeling less than happy emotions, you can always come to me. I realize I don't know many of you very well yet, but I do know what it's like to struggle with anger and fear, sadness and anxiety, guilt and grief. Remember, no issue is too minor, and receiving proper support is crucial. So, whether you're seeking advice, you need someone to vent to, or you simply have a quick question to ask, myself and Queen Poppy are here for you 24/7, if you want us to be. I can't stop bad days from happening, but I can promise to do everything in my power to make sure our village remains as it should, upbeat, fun-loving, and colourful."
As the crowd cheered again, Poppy gave up trying to stop the tears from falling. She was beyond proud of Branch. Proud multiplied by 10,000. He used to be so withdrawn, so afraid to speak up, so uncomfortable being the centre of attention. Seeing that same troll confidently addressing the crowd reminded her of the evacuation. How flawless his leadership had been, and he wasn't even a royal in training then. Before, he was ashamed of his traumatic past and didn't want anyone to know about it. Now, here he is, speaking freely about it and using those bad experiences to help others. Branch has changed so much, yet he's still the same troll I fell in love with. And now, he's my husband. The upgraded term sent giddy tingles down Poppy's spine. Branch is my husband. Holy sprinkles! With their arms linked, Poppy and Branch unhurriedly made their way down the stairs and onto the path. Each troll bowed as the king and the new king passed by. Keith again tried to approach Branch, and again his mum gently pulled him back. A short walk away from the end of the path brought the newlyweds to the dance floor. They took their place in the middle, while the crowd gathered alongside the outskirts to circle them. It took the DJs only a few seconds to turn on the song for their first dance. A song Branch and Poppy had picked at the start of their wedding planning. A song that fit their relationship journey perfectly. You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged. With their eyes linked, her right hand on his shoulder and his on her waist, leaning in so their cheeks were pressed together, the village leaders began their intimate waltz. Oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all. Poppy could feel Branch's smile widen as he murmured,
Let's see if I can make it through the day without getting tangled in this cape.
Branch could feel Poppy's soft puffs of breath on his mouth as she giggled at his light-hearted tease. Hey, don't go there. I have a cape and a massive dress to deal with. Branch countered with a grin.
But you're used to wearing all this formal get-up.
Okay, yeah, alright, I can't argue with that. Then Poppy snickered. I think that'd be pretty funny to see.
Branch rolled his eyes, his expression soft as ever. Oh, sure, that's what I want written in the history books. Branch, the king who fell flat on his face 2 minutes after his coronation while trying to slow dance with his wife.
Oh, I like the sound of that, Poppy purred.
What, me falling on my face?
No, I mean you calling me your wife.
Oh, well.
He gave her hand a little squeeze.
I like the sound of that too. I like it very much.
This world makes you crazy, and you've taken all you can bear. Just call me up, 'cause I will always be there. After an elegant twirl that emphasized Poppy's beautiful dress, she settled in close to Branch again to continue their dance. As their hair slowly spiraled together, Poppy spoke in a soft whisper. So, tell me, what is your favourite memory of us?
Branch let out an affectionate huff. Oh, jeez. I don't think I can choose only one. What's your favourite?
My favourite is... She had her mouth open, but no words were coming out. Finally, Poppy admitted defeat. Okay, so apparently I can't pick one either. After exchanging a soft laugh and another basic twirl, Poppy altered her question. How about this? A memory that stands out to you. What's the first one that pops into your mind, and why?
Then I think I'd go with the day you visited me after giving me the Growing Friendship scrapbook. Not the conflict I created when I thought you'd be better off without me and tried to push you away, but what you said to me afterward. You listed all the reasons why I was more than a grey grouch. You assured me you enjoyed spending time with me, and that I was worth your time. For the first time in 2 decades, I didn't feel alone. I thought no one would ever genuinely care about me. But in that moment, you convinced me I was wrong. You made me believe my life could get better. I finally had someone I could rely on, someone I could trust. So the desire to suppress my feelings gradually subsided from then on. You lifted a huge weight off my shoulders. It was the first speck of hope I'd felt since I lost my grandma.
Unable to find words, Poppy snuggled in even closer, smiling despite the tears streaming down her face. I see your true colours shining through. I see your true colours, and that's why I love you. Poppy wiped her cheeks and cleared her throat. Poppy gave her answer. The memory I'd pick would be when you bandaged up my arm before we officially started hanging out. I mean, the injury wasn't very nice, but you taking care of me was. You were so gentle and concerned. And I knew right then that there was a very special troll beneath that rough grey exterior. And that made me really want to get to know you. More than just my usual, hey, you need to have fun and be my best friend. It was more like, you're unique and kind-hearted, and I want to see you smile. I may not have realised it at the time, and it may have been deep down and minor, but I think that was the moment that made me start to fall in love with you. It was Branch's turn to tear up. He turned his head a bit so their noses brushed, and he squeezed her hand tighter. Oh, can't remember when I last saw you laughing.
Hey, Poppy.
Yes, Branch?
I have a surprise for you later.
Poppy's eyes lit up like a disco ball at the S word, but she managed to maintain the calm dance. Oh, what kind? Where? When?
You'll see.
Ah, thanks, honey. She gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. You are the absolute sweetest.
And you are my beautiful wife.
Poppy did it. Oh, yeah? Well then, I guess that makes you my handsome husband.
Branch closed his eyes in bliss. I guess it does. And I think I can learn to live with that.
The lips met in a soft kiss as they continued to sway to the final notes. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colours. True colours are beautiful, like a rainbow. Oh, like a rainbow. The pair ended their dance and their kiss as the song trailed off. The soft tune was replaced by yet another applause. Branch and Poppy continued to stand hand in hand as memories of their very first dance drifted into their minds. Poppy's coronation party, Branch holding out his hand to her, him finally opening up enough to dance and sing, regaining his long-lost colours, the evening they became an official couple, hair that seemed like years ago. And no matter what they looked like on the outside, whether they were grey or glowing, Branch and Poppy could always love each other's true colours. As the cheers died down and trolls began to join them on the dance floor, Branch spotted Keith amongst the crowd, standing beside his mother. His dark blue eyes was glued onto Branch, his entire little body vibrating with anticipation. Chuckling, Branch knelt down and opened his arms towards the silly boy. Instantly, Keith scurried over at a surprising speed and leapt into Branch's arms with an unexpected force that caused him to let out an "woof" and lose his balance. Branch laughed softly as he flopped onto his back, with Keith contentedly snuggled into his chest. Poppy, along with many of the bystanders, laughed and awed at the scene. Satisfied that he'd finally gotten to hug Branch, Keith climbed off him without a word and bolted towards the other kids. Branch attempted to get to his feet, but he accidentally stepped on his long leafy cape. He inelegantly wound up on the ground again. His fumble elicited another "oof!" along with more gleeful laughter from him, from the crowd, and especially from his wife. With lingering chuckles, Branch tried again, moving the cape out of his way this time. "That's what I get for jinxing myself." Poppy lent him a hand. Still giggling, she sputtered, "Well, at least you didn't fall on your face." Once he was standing and had adjusted his royal cape, Poppy pulled out her megaphone. With a warm grin, she held it out toward Branch. "Would you like to do the honours?" He returned her grin and reached out to accept the megaphone. Everyone held their breath as he turned it on. His soft voice had never sounded so enthusiastic and powerful.
Troll Village! Let's get this party started!
Several hours later, several dozen dances, and one delicious 5-course dinner later, Branch wandered away from the crowd. He had finished checking up on everything, helping refill the craft supplies, fixed a glitch with the sounding system, and spoke to Meadow Springs. The shy, pale yellow florist was throwing a party in 2 days for her closest friend, but was nervous because there was going to be at least 40 people, and the most she had ever hosted before was 6. My to-do list must be a mile long, and I'm so afraid I'm going to make a fool of myself, and everyone will think I'm no fun at all. Meadow fretted as she fiddled with her glasses. I never get too involved with big or fancy activities, but I really want to do this Vigilian. I hate to bother you with this, King Branch, but I thought you'd be able to help me the most, since you also had a hard time fitting in and having fun.
Her blue eyes suddenly widened, and her mauve hair wilted in shame.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to disrespect you.
No, it's okay, Meadow,
Branch assured her, placing her hand on her shoulder.
What you said is the truth. If anyone knows what it's like to struggle with social activities, it's me. And you aren't being a bother. I'm happy to help.
He pulled out his clipboard to scan his schedule.
I can stop by tomorrow at 10:15 to help you get that organised, and offer some tips. Does that work for you?
Meadow immediately brightened up. Yes, that works perfectly. I thank you so much. A few trolls here and there had gone home, but the party was still going strong. One of the departing trolls was Peppy. The elder stifled a yawn before speaking.
Well, I'm bushed. Time to call it a night for this old troll. So, King Branch, is that name starting to sound normal yet?
Branch smiled, ducking his head, and shrugged.
Somewhat. Gradually, yes.
Peppy nodded.
Good. The crown and cape look very fitting on you. I see a very bright future under yours and Poppy's combined leadership. You are great for my village, and great for my daughter. I am proud to call you king, and I look forward to watching you take care for this village. But remember, don't hesitate to come to me if you ever need anything.
I will.
Thank you, King.
Branch got himself off with a throat clear.
Thank you, Peppy.
Peppy smirked.
Nice save. You're getting the hang of that.
After they shared a warm laugh, the retired king concluded.
Well, enjoy the rest of the party. Have a great evening. Have a great evening, sir. And thank you for the advice, the support, for everything. You're welcome, son. And thank you as well for everything you have done for Poppy and everything you have done for our village.
With the party under control, Branch headed up to the lookout point, a secluded and elevated chunk of land overlooking the entire village. There Poppy would be waiting for him. He had asked her to meet him there so that he could give her the surprise. Approaching up the hill from behind, he smiled as he found his pink wife looking out at the landscape, still wearing her stunning white dress. He stopped half a hair stretch away. She hadn't noticed his presence. She was humming to herself, languidly nodding along to her soft tune. Branch's smile widened. His heart rate increased, but he remained calm. He breathed in deeply, and then Branch began to sing.
And I need you now tonight.
Poppy spun around in the blink of an eye, her mouth gaping open.
And I need you more than ever.
Branch gradually walked toward her, as he continued singing the heart-wrenching tune he had avoided for over 20 years. Poppy's mouth shifted to an astonished smile, unable to believe what she was hearing.
And if you only hold me tight, we'd be holding on forever.
Poppy's eyes began to glisten. and her hands moved up to cover her mouth.
And we'll only be making it right.
Branch was standing right in front of her now. She held her breath. His eyes closed.
'Cause we'll never be wrong.
His sky blue eyes reopened, tear-filled but glowing as strongly as ever.
Together we can take it to the end of the line.
He held his hands out to her. She let out a sound halfway between a laugh and a sob as she placed her hands in his.
Your love is like a shadow on me all of the time.
Branch's voice started to tremble, and one tear dampened his cheek, but he did not stop singing. He did not stop smiling.
I don't know what to do. I'm always in the dark. We're living in a powder keg and giving off sparks. I really need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight.
Poppy squeezed his hands tightly as he comfortably trailed off. Her voice was even shakier than his. Once upon a time I was falling in love, but now I'm only falling apart. She snivelled as she shifted closer, but managed to continue, and Branch joined her.
There's nothing I can do. A total eclipse of the heart.
Their emotional voices were barely in tune anymore, but it didn't matter. Branch's next line was a little more than a whisper.
A total eclipse of the heart.
Poppy let her forehead rest against his as she murmured, Total eclipse of the heart. They stood there for a minute, their hearts aching in the most pleasant way, their hair delicately weaving together. Poppy struggled to express the wild array of feelings squeezing her chest like a bear hug. Branch, I can't believe the song. How? He lifted her hand to give it a tender kiss.
I've been practicing.
Poppy was still a stuttering mess. After everything that happened, me going grey, recovering, building the village, I never even thought about it. After helping you, that...
Don't feel bad, Poppy. I don't think of it either. After your colours returned, it made me realise that I never completed my final milestone. So I decided to continue Project Song on my own, at a very gradual pace, one line at a time, whenever I had space in my schedule. By the second week of spring, I was able to listen to the entire song, start to finish, without having a severe reaction. So the next time I was free, I listened to it again and again and again, and each time it affected me less. I was feeling so good about my progress that I decided to push a bit further, and if that proved to be too much for me, then I would stop. It was only a bonus step. I already met the important goal, and all that truly mattered was hearing the song and not panicking. But I did it. I sang Total Eclipse of the Heart. It took a while, but I tried a few lines here and there, then upgraded to the verse, and finally, the chorus. Snippets of it at first. Then I managed the full chorus for the first time exactly 2 weeks ago. I figured if you mentioned about resuming Project Song any time, I'd play along and then would surprise you with how far I'd come. But since you didn't, I saved it for our wedding day, a huge aspect of our relationship journey, to celebrate the day our hearts became one. Poppy started to sob as she pulled Branch into a tight embrace. Oh, honey, this is the most fantastic surprise ever. For several minutes, they cried into each other's shoulders, staying snugly in each other's arms.
They leaned back just enough to share a passionate kiss, their lips moving slowly but sensually, neither leading and both following, as they both simply appreciated this wonderful moment. Unhurriedly, the newlyweds wandered over to the comfy bench near the end of the lookout. Branch's arm settled around her, lightly rubbing her shoulder with his thumb. The side of Poppy's face rested against his cheek, her fluffy ponytail mingling with his thick indigo blue hair. Eventually, the Pink Queen sighed peacefully. "Wow, you and I are married." Branch almost started laughing, partly from her casually pointing out the obvious, and partly because of how much joy that fact gave him. In the same soft tone, he confirmed, "No longer boyfriend and girlfriend, and no longer fiancés. We're husband and wife." "Yes." Poppy gave him a sly smile. "And don't forget, that also makes you king."
Branch snickered. "How could I forget that?" Then his perspective changed. "Well, actually, maybe I could forget. Saying it aloud still doesn't feel entirely real. I bet there will be mornings I'll wake up and have to remind myself that our wedding and my coronation was not a dream."
Poppy laughed her signature adorable giggle, then said with some seriousness, "Speaking of which, I'm so used to running the village without a constant partner, and now I need to get used to splitting all of my duties. So I apologize in advance if I try to take over everything for a while. But please feel free to step in and say, 'Hey, I'm a leader here too. I can get this job done while you go and do that job.'"
"It's okay, Poppy. I will not be offended. But don't worry, I won't let you manage everything on your own. However, I'll need to adjust to this new routine as well. So if at any point I'm doing something incorrectly, or I'm not pulling my weight, please let me know."
Poppy nodded. "I promise I will give you honest feedback and constructive criticism as needed. But I doubt you'll need to worry about you not working hard enough. You couldn't be a slacker if your life depended on it."
Branch chuckled. "Well, not to brag, but yes, that is probably true."
Poppy gasped in mock indignation. "Whoa now, don't brag too much or I might have to worry about you taking over all my royal duties." She tried to keep a straight face when he tried to give her a deadpan look, but both ended up laughing. As they snuggled into a proper side hug, Branch responded, "Uh-huh, yeah, sure. I'd sooner be lazy than power hungry." "I mean, unless those duties involve building or emergencies or stuff like that. In that case, go right ahead and take charge, please." After sharing another giggle, their joking around ended, and Branch murmured,
"Like every new step we've faced in our relationship, we'll figure out a system that works for both of us."
Poppy's tone matched his. "Exactly. We'll help each other and learn from each other, just as we always have. It'll take some time, some trial and error, but we'll make the most of our individual skills. And, in the end, we'll find an ideal balance to rule the village together." They snuck in a kiss, then settled into each other's arms again. After a minute, Poppy started a new conversation. "Do you remember our very first hug?"
How could I ever forget? My first real hug in 2 decades. From the beautiful princess whom I was secretly in love with. I hated how downcast you were that day, and I regretted making you promise to stay out of my personal bubble. So I finally went for it. Afterward, I couldn't get that simple hug out of my head, and every hug from then on put me over the moon. Part of me was still hesitant because I was so used to avoiding affection, and the other part of me wished I could hold you in my arms forever."
Poppy made a cute little sound. "Ah, well, I loved that hug too. That was hands down the best first hug I've ever experienced. Not the snuggest or the longest, but it was so special because I knew even a brief, light hug coming from you meant a lot." Her one hand reached up to stroke his chin. Even back when you were a so-called grumpy hermit, you still put my needs before your own.
Well, of course I did.
Branch placed his hand over hers.
You were the only thing that mattered to me. Too often I rebuffed your kindness, so I was ready to do whatever it took to cheer you up, even if it meant pretending to be clumsy and losing a fight to a bulb.
Yeah. Then his statement sunk in, and Poppy leaned back to look at him with astonished eyes. Wait a sec, are you saying that struggle and the fall was fake to make me laugh? Her adorably chipper voice warmed Branch's heart.
I'm surprised you couldn't tell. Those type of bulbs are very easy to plug out of the ground.
No, I could not tell. It was very convincing. You should add actor to your list of talents. Oh, Branch, you are so flipping sweet. The last word came out as a squeal, and her poofy dress shook as her little pig feet bounced underneath. She then grabbed the front of her husband's white tux and yanked him closer. He let out a surprised yelp, but gladly accepted his fate as she firmly kissed his cheek, her soft magenta nose pressing into his skin right below his eye. When Poppy released him with an exaggerated "Mwah!" her smile turned sly. So, my handsome husband, are there any other cute little secrets that I should know about?
Branch chuckled.
He pondered for a moment, knowing there had to be a few instances from his grey days that still hadn't been revealed.
Let me think. Remember when you stopped by before noon one day, and we played cards outside because you couldn't stay long?
She nodded, so he finished his thought.
I wanted to invite you to stay for lunch.
Poppy brightened up even more. You did?
Yeah, you said you needed to finish writing a speech, and you may not have time to eat before the next event. So I wanted to offer you a bit of a helping hand. I tried to work up the courage to ask you, but my insecurities got the better of me.
Ah. Poppy nuzzled her head into his shoulder. I'm guessing you were afraid you'd end up doing something wrong? Like spill my drink all over me, or make me a meal I wouldn't like, or have bad hospitality in general? And that I would do the opposite of help me, and you didn't want to risk it?
You know me far too well, Poppy. Therefore, you can probably guess how mad I was at myself for letting you walk away that day.
She gave him a little nod. Then another memory popped into Branch's mind.
Oh, also, on the middle of the cyan stars, I woke up in the middle of the night to find you snuggled up in my side. And I kind of freaked out.
Poppy gasped as if it was the most suspenseful story she'd ever heard. No way! So, what happened? What did you do?
Well, for a moment, I lay there stiff as a board, trying to decide whether I should go back to sleep and pretend it never happened, which I knew would be impossible, or if I should wake you up, which I figured could only cause embarrassment and ruin the peaceful night for both of us. As usual, I was worried that such closeness would bother you, and it was inappropriate since I loved you, but you didn't feel the same. Or so I thought at the time. You seemed very content and always longed for physical affection, so I managed to relax. I found myself admiring how beautiful you are. Then I rested my hand on your arm, let my cheek lean against your head, and before I knew it, I'd fallen back asleep.
Poppy smiled lovingly, then ducked her head coyly. I also have a little secret about that night.
Oh? Well, I'm rarely the nosy type, but this I need to hear.
She giggled before elaborating. Before I woke you up, I was just gazing down at you, studying all your handsome features. Funny how we did the same thing to each other without realizing it. Anyway, you looked so peaceful that I had to lightly stroke your cheek, which made me want to kiss it again. Like, really badly. So badly I almost did it. But I thought I was being ridiculous, so I quickly snapped myself out of it. But waking up with you beside me, that was the best morning ever. Branch kissed her cheek.
I never thought such a thing would happen a second time. But it did. A second time, a third, a fourth, and now it's a daily occurrence.
You must be getting sick of it then.
Never. Branch then feigned a sad face. Unless you're getting sick of it.
Well, if I am, I probably should have thought of that before marrying you. Another gleeful laughing fit ensued. Once they quieted down, the village leaders linked hands and took a moment to survey the crowd below. Trolls were mingling, dancing, laughing, playing charades, and finishing off the snacks. Above all the happy noise, Branch and Poppy's ears picked up the distinct sound of a party horn being repeatedly blown toward the east side of the dance floor, and they spotted none other than Keith, who was also covered in confetti as if he had been rolling around in it.
Branch chuckled. Oh, Keith, what a goof.
Poppy giggled. That was so cute when he tackled you.
Yeah, it was. Although I didn't expect such a tiny body to carry so much force.
Branch's gaze softened as he continued to watch the silly boy.
He's such a sweetheart. All the children are. They're clever, energetic, funny, full of happiness. Yet each one of them is unique.
Branch trailed off, creating a minute of silence, until finally Poppy spoke up in a small voice. Hey, Branch. So, now that we're married and we're kind of on the topic, I wanted to ask you, what is your opinion on children?
Branch's eyebrows raised a bit. Children? He repeated.
The look on his face suggested he had already guessed what she was implying, but she clarified anyway. Yeah, I mean on having children. You and I having children someday. Is that something you'd be interested in, or...
Poppy's heart felt a bit heavier as Branch glanced away. He didn't speak for a few seconds, looking like he was trying to figure out what to say. Do you want to?
Well, yes, I would like to. I want that, yes. But I want to know what you want. We kind of need to consider both our opinions on this matter. Sorry, I know it's still pretty early to be talking about this, but I was just curious.
She was also now wishing she hadn't brought it up, but it was too late to take it back. Branch hesitated still. Honestly? Her discomfort increased as his gaze drifted away from her again. I've never really thought about it. For my whole life, it was a pointless thing to think about. I had a nobody. And even if I did, I never could have raised a child while being grey. Depressed, bitter, and paranoid. I would have been the worst parent in history. But then when I babysat for you while you attended the celebration of trees, and afterward you commented on how I'm unnatural with trollings, I found myself imagining what it would be like to have one of my own. Interacting with the children was awkward at first, but over time, I started to really enjoy spending time with them.
Poppy held her breath as she waited for his direct answer.
At the time, I wasn't sure what I wanted. But thinking about it now...
Branch's eyes finally met hers, shining the softest and warmest blue she'd ever seen.
I'd like that too. I would like for us to have children someday.
Poppy and Branch's smiles gradually widened, lovingly with a hint of shyness. The heart swelled at the thought of having a trolling, taking care of a precious egg and watching it hatch, raising a little troll who had some of his traits and some of hers, supporting them as they grow up into a fine prince or princess. It would be the biggest step they'd ever taken in their relationship, bigger than all their other milestones combined. But together, with their compatible personalities, past experiences, and good values, they make a great couple, great leaders, and will become great parents. After another tender kiss, the Queen and King snuggled into each other's sides again. While Poppy's eyes drifted shut, Branch continued to gaze out at the village.
Our village. Our future together. Leading the village. Being there for each other. Starting a family.
Now that they'd openly discussed it, He was looking forward to having a little one with Poppy. But he wasn't in a rush, and neither was she. Becoming a parent was a miraculous life event, but it would also be huge responsibility. They'd rather wait until the time is right, once they both adjust to their new royal routines and are 100% ready to raise a child. Branch's heart ached with joy as his mind took a trip down memory lane. How he had gone from having literally nothing to having everything and more. All of his dreams, even the most absurd fantasies and impossible wishes, had come true. Last year, he was hidden underground, forlorn and wretched, his existence meaningless. Alive, but not living. Today, he's sitting next to his wife, relaxing and elated, wearing the king's crown, dreaming of becoming a father someday. Bittersweet memories flashed in Branch's vision, scenes that were discouraging and heartbreaking at the same time, but now made him sigh with relief.
I believe Poppy would never love me, or even like me, because I was just the grey grump, a knot in her hair, and I'd only ever bring her down. I felt I didn't deserve to be loved, and yet the most optimistic, kindest, and most beautiful troll in the world fell in love with me. She could have fallen for anyone, but she fell for me. She had so much positivity that she was able to push past my negativity, find the good inside me, and bring it to the surface for everyone to see. I remember apologising to Poppy because I'm not like the other trolls, and therefore I can't be what she wants me to be. But all she wanted me to be was happy, appreciated, loved. She did not think less of me for being different. That was the very reason she enjoyed being around me. I can't be king. That memory is so vivid. That deep and dark feeling of dread crushing my hope after Poppy returned my feelings. A rock would make a better king than me. I could never accomplish a single raw task, let alone hundreds every day. Or so I thought. The phrase "never say never" used to irritate me, but now I see there is plenty of truth to it. Once I started to brighten my perspective, my life brightened as well. But I needed Poppy to give me that push, help get my mindset on the right track, and keep it going in the right direction. I went from "that'll never happen" to "that could happen" to "I can make that happen." When Poppy's father told me, "The future will work out however it's meant to," it gave me comfort. Even though it wasn't a huge encouragement, it was healthy, neutral statement. Not "no way in hell it'll work out," and not "of course it'll work out perfectly." I had no idea how my relationship with Poppy would turn out, and it terrified me to think we weren't meant to be together. But I didn't give up. I kept going, and, sure enough, everything fell into place for both of us. I used to panic whenever I heard 2 seconds of total eclipse of the heart. Now I can sing the entire chorus, even that significant line. I continue to have bad dreams and flashbacks now and then, but they're so minor that it doesn't distract me from my work or affect my happiness. I no longer live underground on the outskirts of the village. I still focus on safety and other practical matters, but I also host elaborate parties and participate in fun activities. Thinking of all this makes me realize exactly how far I've come. Poppy has told me, Peppy has told me, the snack pack has told me, and I always humbly accepted their praise. But now, finally, I can believe it with my heart, my head, and my soul. Grey Branch will always be a part of me, and that's not a bad thing. I don't want my tragic experiences to be forgotten, tossed aside, or pretend they never happened. I want every detail of my greyness, and Poppy's, to be documented, so that many generations from now, Even after we're long gone, both the good and the bad of our stories will be told. Having both a king and a queen who's lost their colours won't taint or weaken the royal bloodline. It'll strengthen it. We've experienced both sides, being grey and helping a loved one deal with greyness. So if there is ever a threat of another troll losing his or her colours, Poppy and I will be able to help them through the rough days. I am going to make sure knowledge of negative feelings becomes mainstream, so trolls can learn from a young age to express feelings whenever they're feeling, and listen to others' feelings. Especially if those feelings aren't happiness. No embarrassment or shame. No mindset of just get over it. No sugarcoating the situation. At some point, I'd like to discuss with Poppy, Peppy and the village elders some possible changes to the education system, to add in information about greyness, plus more lessons about safety and unsuspecting dangers.
At his core, he was still Branch, but a stronger, brighter version of him. The new king looked up into the clear sky. It might have been his imagination, but he swore he got a split-second glimpse of purple skin, mint green hair, and warm green eyes. A twinge of grief pierced his heart, then softened into a beautiful relief.
You've never stopped looking out for me, Grandma.
With a peaceful smile, Branch closed his eyes. The music playing down below perfectly reflected his thoughts. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. End of chapter and end of story. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that because, oh my god, I'm really emotional right now. What a gorgeous chapter and what a gorgeous story. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me through this. The words of encouragement when I was going through that rough time really helped, and going through that with them, seeing Branch grow, and oh my god, and Poppy, everyone, just, it means so much. Thank you guys. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video, okay? Take care guys. I love you.